Okie dokie. Hello and welcome, everyone. Now you're going to be hopefully stuck with me and having fun for the next 1 hour or so. And I promise everything that you're going to be going through with me today is going to be one of the most valuable things that you can ever learn. The reason for this is that until 2019, I had no clue what I was talking about the stuff that is coming up in this workshop. Okay. The reason for that was I got lucky and I managed to jump around, bump around, and I managed to get better and better jobs when it came to growing in my professional career. But looking back, what's very, very clear to me is that I got ridiculously lucky. And what I mean by that is luck is not a strategy. If you wish to grow in your career, if you wish to have any sort of professional success whatsoever, you need all the help that you can get. Okay. And one of the most, if not the most valuable thing that you can pick up as a skill is the art of networking. All right. So something should have popped up on your screen as well. Art of networking. Okay. It's pretty straightforward. It's pretty simple. But the challenge is that nobody's ever taught this to us, especially they don't teach it in engineering. I'm a chemical engineer. They don't teach it in advertising, but you just pick up things every now and then. And I speak of advertising because I have a background in advertising. And apart from that, even in B schools, I've done my master's from Manchester Business School. They don't teach you much about that. You probably have a class or a seminar, and that's about it, right? Now, when we are done in another 52 minutes or so, you will know exactly how to go ahead and start building your network and how to grow your network. And if you already know how to do those things, I'm going to be sharing some advanced tips for you. These are literally the exact strategies that I use to run my own business and to get fantastic opportunities to grow my life. Okay. Now, that said, quick question for all of you. Different people have different ideas and different understanding of what networking means. And depending on the background that we're coming from, it can have different meanings. To help us all move along, I'm going to say, and this is just for us to establish a common definition, starting and growing professional relationships. Of course, you can network with people for personal reasons, like I tend to connect with friends because I'm 38, and once you cross 35, it's very, very hard to make friends. And like they don't have, what is that app called? Tinder or Bumble, just for friends. I even asked my wife and she started scolding me. So it is very, very difficult for old people. 35 is old, right? It's very hard for establishing new relationships. But for the context of this session, we're going to be looking at starting and growing professional relationships. And that's a fantastic segue to a question that's popped up. God Predator says, I'm a full stack Java developer. Will this webinar help me to grow in the gaming industry? God Predator, I'm going to call you GP because God Predator seems very awkward and has too many syllables. The answer is yes. Okay. This is absolutely possible. All right. And I'm going to be showing you exactly the steps you need to follow. You can be any sort of a profession. You can be in any sort of an industry. The strategies that I'll be sharing is going to be the same across. The methods or the channels in which you'll be doing some things will be different. For example, if I wish to speak to manufacturing clients or companies, it's not going to happen on, let's say, Twitter. Okay. It'll probably have to happen on WhatsApp groups or Chingari, for example, right? That might be more likely. The short answer is yes. Now, starting and growing professional relationships, right? We all know that it's important. Okay. We all have some sort of an understanding that, yes, I should be networking. But my question to you is, what happens if you don't do networking? Everybody says, oh, networking is really, really good. You should be doing it. But I want you to take a moment and think about what goes wrong if you don't do networking, okay? If we don't do networking, we're going to be left behind and others will start moving ahead and, we lose out on things. I know this for a fact because let's take, for example, what like a big development that's happening in the world right now, right? Which is generative AI is taking the world by storm. And when that happens, there's a whole bunch of repercussions. We don't end up in a situation where we are keeping up with the latest developments. For example, if I start talking to you about LoRa's and text to videos and stable diffusions, control nets, You might probably not understand what's happening, but you still probably have an understanding of chat GPT and all of that. But now imagine, okay, imagine you don't know about chat GPT. Imagine somebody else who doesn't know about chat GPT, somebody who doesn't use chat GPT. 2 years, 3 years down the line, that person's going to be obsolete, right? They would have missed out. And as a result, they're going to be, as we've seen great answers come up, we lose contact with people we know professionally, career stagnates. And, it's a bad feeling because we become stuck and we start feeling invisible, right? And that's a very, very bad place to be. But imagine, okay, what would happen if we flipped it? Okay. Now, the question I have is, how can networking help you? We all know what's bad if we don't do networking, but tell me, how do you believe that networking can help you? The reason I'm asking this is I want to set the context for how we can look at networking for the next 45 minutes or so. Okay, we get recommendations while applying for jobs. Kunal can actually go one step further. It can give you opportunities that are not even presented. Did you know most of the jobs that are posted on LinkedIn and Indeed and Monster, they're not even seen by a human. Okay, there are things called an ATS, or an applicant tracking system, which is essentially just a glorified AI. And I know this because one of my close friends, he's building such software. And what happens is that decides whether or not your CV actually gets seen by a human. But with networking, you can cut that line. In fact, every single job I've got is through networking, right? And I'm supposed to be a horrible networker. If I knew what I know now, but let's say back in like 2008, 2009, I would be super duper amazing. I am super amazing, but I would have become super duper amazing, right? In terms of professional growth, personal growth, all of that. Rahul says networking can help us grow and leverage other people's strengths. Yes. Know more about who we are and where we stand. Where we stand, Archana. Yes, that's a good way of putting it. Exposure, knowledge, lots of ideas we're connecting on. Grow across the corporate ladder, says Santosh. Yes, I like that too. Referrals, and what else we got? Tremendous knowledge. Sure. Look, I'll be honest with you. Networking can be used for many, many, many things, right? And you can choose what you want networking to help with. For example, I can use networking to find new business. I can use networking to find new clients. I can use networking to find a new job. I can use it to find a public speaking opportunity. If I want to go speak at a conference, that's possible. But there are other powerful benefits as well, such as we get new insights. Like what Mahesh is saying in chat, right? Indicates when we move out of track. We don't know the latest developments unless we go and speak to somebody else, right? Like, for example, today I was speaking to a friend of mine in Israel, and he was telling me about the latest developments in terms of AI content generation and AI for search engine optimization. Those things don't need to make any sense to you, but what you need to know is that those are latest developments that he and his company are working on. And I got to know that because I met him through Twitter and I made a friend and I got an opportunity to learn new things about this, right? And eventually, one good way to think about networking is that it is a tool or it is a skill that you can use to do more of the things that you like and care about. Okay. If you want to spend more time with your kid, maybe you can network your way into a job that will give you more time at home with your child. If you want to go work out of Japan, maybe you can network yourself into a job at Tokyo University, and therefore you can do something like this. Or you might become the Indian cook for Indian families traveling from Bangalore to Japan on a 10-day tour. This is an actual thing. And there's something called Japan Haba that happens in Bangalore. And I met someone who has done the exact same thing. All right. Now, when it comes to networking, there are many different ways to look at it. Okay. But my favorite mental model is to think of networking as if you are growing a garden. Okay. It's a perfect metaphor. And here's why. A garden is something that is living. It requires our attention. It requires our effort to grow, nurture, and to maintain. And in a networking sense, the seeds become the new connections that we make. I want to distinguish between contacts and connections. Okay. The reason for that, because somebody had mentioned earlier on saying that, hey, we can get a lot of contacts, right? You can go to a conference and you can collect everyone's contact information. They become contacts. But those people are not a part of your network yet. They are very, very at the very edge of it, right? It's like just a seed that's being put up, but you need to build those relationships. Like how you plant a seed, you still need to water it. You still need to give it nutrients, right? You need to build that relationship. And finally, when it has the flower or the fruit, you can then go ahead and harvest. And that maps out to opportunities. Sandeep, I like the phrase you're saying, loose ends. Loose ends in my head, it reminds me of gangster movies. Like, he's a loose end. We have to tie him up. That's okay, but I do like that thing. It is at the very edge, right? If I had to take a technical term, it would be like a leaf node. All right. We want to find that leaf node and we want to definitely go ahead and build it out. But fantastic observation, Sandeep. I'm just going to take a small break here to answer a question that's popped up. Yogesh asks, is there any other website or application excluding LinkedIn for professionals? Yogesh, that's a very interesting question. Depending on where you want to go and the kind of networks that you want to build. You might want to, if you prefer to create content, of course, you can do networking via YouTube. I prefer to use Twitter, where I can interact with people all over the world. If you want to try other channels, there are channels like Mastodon, there are channels like Reddit, there are other, whole bunch of other social media opportunities as well. However, Yogesh, here's a very important thing for you to remember as well. Your networking does not have to be restricted to just doing things online, okay? There are a bunch of different things that you can do offline as well. And in fact, if you look around and you see that you can't find any other offline opportunities, that's a fantastic opportunity for you to start something and then go ahead and bring people related to you on this. Case in point, I have ADHD, and when I was looking around in India, there were no support groups for people with ADHD and running a company. Okay. So I was like, well, there are groups for founders and there are groups for ADHD people, but there is no group for ADHD founders. So I went ahead and started one, and we're already at 55% capacity. Okay. And it's been like a month. So if you look around and you see that there is no opportunity, you can become that central nucleus, Yogesh, around which people can come around, gather around, and become groups of it. And as you clarify this for software, you can find a whole bunch of other developer communities, like null.org is an option. There are Google developer forums. There are a whole bunch of Discord servers as well. But for you, if you're looking for this information, Yogesh, please check out Twitter. It's a great opportunity for you. All right. Now that we know that networking is like growing a garden, and there are direct mappings, like seeds is like starting connections, watering is like building relationships, and you harvest it to get opportunities, which could be professional opportunities, could be personal opportunities, could be fame, fortune, whatever you need, right? Let's start with the seeds side of things, okay? And we're going to start looking at how do you actually start building a network. Before I go forward, on a scale of 0 to 10, where 0 is you have absolutely no network, to 10 where you always know somebody who can help you with something, how do you rate the strength of your network? So now when we're starting to build out your network, the first thing you need to know is how do you actually make your pitch? Okay. Pitch is basically how do you introduce yourself? When you're trying to network with someone, right? People are always thinking, what's in it for me? Why should I network with this person? Why should I connect with this person? Because we all have limited amount of time. We all have a limited amount of energy. So we want to be careful about where we are investing our time and effort into, okay? Which is why whenever you're going to be connecting with any person, okay, it could be to a prospective hiring manager. It could be to somebody else who has the same job title as you, but in a different company, right? You need to know what is that first thing? How can you introduce yourself? Okay. And that introduction should be interesting and valuable enough for the other person to say, yeah, I would like to connect with you. Now, most of you are probably familiar with going on LinkedIn and sending a connection request. That's okay. All right. But it doesn't answer the question, why should I bother connecting with you? There is literally no answer for that. If I go to my LinkedIn, I have like thousands of followers, but I don't know most of them. and I'm connected to a bunch of different people, but I have some sort of a common ground, right? It will help me understand what is the context in which I've connected with someone. Okay. So on the next slide, what I have is a template for a pitch. This is a template that you can use when you want to meet someone and you want to connect with them for something. Okay. So, like I was saying before, hi, I'm Arvindh, excited about marketing and AI and generative AI with a passion for gaming and analytics. I'm keen to explore how analytics is changing because of AI and would love to discuss how we can work together or help each other. Ramesh changed his name. But he says, hi, I am Chandrasekhar, excited about project management with a passion for managing complex projects. That's great. That's great, Ramesh. That's a great first start, right? Now you want to add the rest of the stuff as well. Okay. Nishant said, hi, I'm Nishant, excited about AI with a passion for gaming. I'm keen to explore gaming and would enjoy discussing how we can work together or help each other. Fantastic. So, Nishant, I'm just going to use your entry as an example. And this would be a perfect pitch to send to, let's say, a gaming studio, or it could be to an advertising agency who's making advert games or something. So yeah, that's a good way to start out. Okay. Now, one small tip when it comes to things like okay, let's go back. Laser pointer. Okay. See, when it comes to your expertise or area of work, it's a good idea to be as specific as possible, right? And when you're talking about your passion and interest, make sure that there is some overlap in what you're putting over here with what the other person is doing it. For example, if I was connecting with someone, let's say, who is a CEO of a SaaS business, okay, of a software as a service business, I would say, hi, I'm Arvindh, excited about marketing and gaming with a passion for unit economics. Okay, now unit economics would be important to a SaaS founder, right? And then say, I'm keen to explore how you manage churn with gamification and would enjoy discussing how we can work together or help each other. Okay. It's a very, very simple thing. And trust me, this is great, but you can very easily, if you feel that your answers are not good enough, okay, and this is something that a lot of us have as a problem, what you can do is go to your good friend ChatGPT and tell them, Macha, I have this as an entry. Can you please rewrite this to make it more professional? Can you rewrite it to make it, in a business casual tone? When you want to interact with someone, you really, really want to customize your pitch. Your pitch means that opening reason why somebody would want to connect with you. Like if you look at what's come up in chat, Jose said, I'm excited about green tech with a passion for developing innovative and sustainable products from polymers. I'm a chemical engineer, Jose, by the way, and I did my stuff in polymer tech. And I'm keen to explore your area of expertise in green tech and would enjoy it. So great. So now let's say Jose is, and I'm hoping I got your name right. Jose is talking about green technology, right? But the way he would talk to, let's say, a solar farm would be different than let's say, somebody who's operating in green energy, and it would be different than somebody who's operating in crypto based on carbon footprints and stuff like that, right? So you need to know how you can customize that. And the way you would do that, right, in that initial pitch, instead of just saying how we could work together or help each other, that's something that everybody will do, right? But what you want to do is you want to build out an inventory of different things. So you have a bunch of different tools that you can deploy to get what you want. And these are the best things that I think you can offer others. Instead of saying, let's see how we could work together or help each other, that's very open-ended. But if you can be very specific about, hey, can we meet to talk about this cool new technology that my friend Shiva is talking about, about using nanotech in solar PV systems, so Jose and Shiva could, I could be the person because I know Jose and I know Shiva. I can, when I'm going to be messaging Jose, I could say, hey, listen, I would send the same thing. And then I would say, but, could we meet so that I can connect you to like Shiva, who's working with nanotech and PV systems, photovoltaic systems and stuff like that, right? So That's the first one. Connections means that even if you are a fresher, even if you have nothing relevant to this person, you can say, hey, I want to connect you to somebody else that I think is awesome. Okay. And I've done that on Twitter all the time. I've just started a group chat saying that, hey, person A, you're my friend. Person B, you're my friend. We both get along very well, but have you two met each other? Okay. That's a fantastic way to start networking. Like it's not just about you, but you're connecting other people. Another thing is, let's talk again. Let's try a different one. Rahul said, I'm Rahul, excited about software development with a passion for agile, AI, ML, and automation. New platform development would enjoy discussing. All right. So Rahul's doing new platform development. And let's say if I wanted to, and if I wanted to talk about fresh ideas or solution, and I wanted to pitch to Rahul, if I wanted to connect to Rahul, I will send him a connection request or I'll send him a message that says, "Hey Rahul, I'm Arvindh, and I saw from your profile that you are interested in new platform development. Would you be interested for a 30-minute call where we can talk about how gamification can help in new platform development?" Okay. Rahul, I apologize. I don't know what new platform development is. I thought it's like building out a new platform. So I'm just going with that. But you see how it is, right? Jay is into actuarial science, right? And practical application, learning new tech. So if I was to connect with Jay, who's, let's say, an actuary, then I would talk about cool stuff I found. I'd be like, hey, Jay, thank you. I've been following you for some time. I would love to connect with you. By the way, have you seen this cool article about how generative AI is changing the actuarial sciences? You don't need to know what actuarial sciences are, but Jay knows. And I can send that link to him because this is that cool stuff that I found, right? So I can just use that as a way to start a conversation with them, right? So instead of just saying, can we figure out how can we collaborate and do this? That's okay. That is like level 0 or level 1. But if you want to go to the next level, see how you can add these additional things as well, right? Because what you really, really want to do is you want to customize your pitch based on your inventory. Inventory would be the things that you have to offer others. It could be connections to different kinds of people, fresh ideas or solutions, and other cool things that you have, right? Now, you have a pitch, you have something that you can offer others, then we look at growing your network. Okay. Now, before I go further, I want to make sure that everybody's okay. If you are okay, go ahead and drop a chat, smiley in the chat, please. I like smileys because it makes me imagine that people are smiling along with me. We figured out how to start our network. Now let's look at growing your network. Okay. Starting the network was the hardest part. Okay. Now the easy part is about growing the network. Okay. And this is my favorite slide in this entire thing. Okay. When you're growing your network, you want to remember the 3-tier networking test. Okay. The reason for this is, okay, and this is a very, very, very important mental model for you to have when you're approaching your network and when you're trying to grow your network. Okay. When you're growing a network, you're going to be connecting with a whole bunch of different people, but not everybody is going to be at the same level. So what we want to do is we want to slot them at different levels. Curd rice, okay, especially at my home, is something that we have every single day, right? It doesn't require any special thought. It is comfort food. And anytime and every time it'll be like, Amma, I want curd rice. And my mom has it ready. I'm 38 and my mom still does that for me. I'm a very lucky man. That being said, somebody who is a curd rice level contact is something just like curd rice. It's not something special. It's something that is always there for you. It's something that is very dependable. Okay. And it's something with like low risk sort of a situation. Okay. Something that you can reach out to every day. So think of like your best friends. They would be in the curd rice category. Your colleagues at work, they would be in the curd rice category. And then you would have the biryani, right? When I was younger, back in my day, I was allowed to have biryani whenever I wanted. But as I grow older, I'm allowed to have it like maybe once a month, sort of a situation, right? We have Paradise Biryani. They have this beautiful potato and extra masala biryani, which is just like even after you eat it and you wash your hands with soap, that smell of salan and biryani is still in your hands. Okay, and that is one of the best experiences on a Sunday ever possible. But then again, a biryani is not something that you have every single day. You wish you could, but you don't. It's something that happens less often because it's a little bit more special. It's a little bit more rare. right? So when you have someone who is in the biryani sort of a category, you will be reaching out to that person less often than the curd rice kind of person. Okay. And again, the asks that you have from a biryani category person is different than the ask that you have from a curd rice kind of person. With the curd rice, you can ask them anything again and again. And because they are your friends, they will do things for you. But with biryani, it's not like that. Okay. You have to treat it has a lot more value in some cases. It is much harder to come by in some cases. For example, let's say that you had to meet the CEO of this company that you're applying for at a job, right? Now that would be a biryani type situation, right? You don't meet them often. You might end up meeting them often, but right now it's rare. So that's the biryani thing. And finding the wedding feast is something that happens like once in a lifetime sort of a situation, right? Most of the people you meet will fall within the biryani or the curd rice situation, but there'll be others that you might meet like once a year or something, right? Or it might be once in a lifetime. For example, I've met Sachin Tendulkar, right? And that's I don't think that's ever going to happen again, but I got lucky. Now that is a once in a lifetime. I can't ever go and ask him anything, but happens very, very rarely. So that's like a wedding feast. Similarly, I know members from AIB, right? That comedy writing troupe that existed back in the day. I know people from there. I know people from my college who are now in big, big positions. I can't reach out to them every day, but I will reach out to them rarely, once in a sort of a situation, right? Like once in a lifetime type situation. The reason why I'm saying this is that every person you meet, you will need to figure out where are they going to be slotted. If you want to build up a curd rice type situation where you can reach out to them every day, you have to put in that kind of effort. And not everybody is going to be fitting into that category. Okay. And this is very important. You need to realize every single person in your network, where do they belong? Do you want like a daily contact? Do you want a monthly contact? Or do you want like once in 6 months or once a year type contact? Okay. You have to keep that in mind and then build out your network. Okie dokie. 2K. Quality beats quantity. Okay. I have about 2,600 odd people on my Twitter. Okay. I have 2,600 people following me on Twitter. And I have like about 180 people on my email list. My Twitter is useless compared to my email list because my email list, every time I send out an email, it makes me money. Whereas Twitter, it gives me a bunch of likes. All right. And likes ain't cash. You got to remember that. Quality beats quantity. So when you're having connections, you want to make sure that you are building this with meaning. All right. And the best way to do that, right? And somebody else had also asked, how do you actually build that? Is to have more deep conversations, because you don't want just a collection of business cards. If most of you don't know, business cards were small cards. We would have, contact details of other people. That's not what you want. What you want is some sort of significance, some sort of meaning in other people's lives. And as somebody was asking right now, I think it was Rajesh, how do you do this? Is you focus on mutual benefits. Okay. Usually when people look at networking is, I'm just going to break because Anup's got a good question. Is there a way we all on this program can connect and network? I'm going to let you guys figure that out. I'm sure the good folks at Hero Wired will help you figure that out. Okay. But now somebody had asked, how do you actually go from wedding feast or biryani to the curd rice situation? Okay. It is to focus on mutual benefit. And you have to think in terms of a win-win sort of a situation. I didn't become best friends with my best friend overnight, right? I helped him, he helped me. We kept on helping each other. And after a time, we just stopped keeping score because we are brothers now, right? We're not just best friends. And this happens over time. It happens over repeated exposure. It happens when we've been helping each other win again and again and again. And since this happened almost 20 years ago, we also helped each other copy and find answers in internals in engineering. We go back to that kind of bonding. And as Anup says, trust. We have that kind of trust. And this is that foundation that's been built because of repeated successes that we've been helping each other. So every time you're connecting with someone, think, how can I help them win? Okay. It's pretty straightforward. And if you can do that, growing your network becomes very, very easy. If you're wondering what is it that you can share, remember, we have that networking inventory, cool things you found, connections that you have, fresh ideas, perspectives. We discussed that. But apart from all of this, to grow your network, number one thing you have to do is to be consistent, right? If you need a job next month, don't start building your network today. Okay? Don't do that because you need to build it before you need it. And using a calendar is perhaps like the best way, right? So let's say that you need something 6 months down the line. Now's the time to start networking. You're going to start a business, start networking now with potential customers. You're going to find a job, start looking at potential companies now. Think in advance and use your calendar to schedule the whole thing, right? The reason is that, well, every little bit that you do adds up. Okay, it might feel like, oh, it's like never ending. It can feel like that, right? But what's ending up happening, as you can see in this GIF as well, even though this guy's trying to mop up the ocean, there's still water that's coming up into the yellow bucket, right? And that is the bond that we're building. That is the relationship that we are building, right? And that's going to be useful. So start building your relationship with others much before you need it. Okay. Now, here's a question that I have for you. You connected with someone, right? You had a conversation. Now, how is it that you could continue that conversation with them, right? What can you use as a reason to check in? Go ahead and type it out in chat while I answer Rahul's question. Mutual benefit sounds similar to friends with benefits. There could be pitfalls to this. Yes, Rahul, there would definitely be pitfalls if you confuse mutual benefits with friends with benefits. Okay? Mutual benefit is I'm going to help you win with something and you're going to help me win with something, right? Like for you, for example, if you and we had to connect on something, I could be like, hey, Rahul, I found this thing. I thought it might be of interest to you. Now that is me doing something that is of benefit to you. Then later, I might find something that I would probably ask you, hey, Rahul, could you connect me to Rishikesh? He has some cool ideas about health and developments at work. Right? So you see that you help me, I help you. It's that sort of a situation. Friends with benefits has other meanings, and I request you to go Google for it outside this workshop. All right, some great ideas have coming up. Jackson says similar interests or passion. Yes, hobbies are a great way. Developments at work, developments in the industry as well, Rishikesh. That can be a good one. Health, business deals as well. Darshan, if you can do deal flow, if you can tell them, hey, you should connect with this person because they need what you want, they're going to love you. Mahesh says sharing information they require. Yeah, sharing new ideas, genuinely being interested in conversing with them. Yes, Archana, that is a fantastic example. And if you're having difficulty, right? For example, Rishikesh, you said catch up for coffee. Sometimes, I've struggled with this. If you're trying to figure out what is it that you can talk to others about, just Google for something called the Ford method for small talk. I'm not going to go into details, but it'll give you topics that you can talk about and makes it very, very easy. Okay. Now, when you're doing this as well, there will be some challenges that you'll be facing, right? Things that can trip you up. And I'm first going to show you the small problems, which stops many, many, many people from actually doing networking. In fact, until 2019, these were the three main reasons why I didn't do anything. Okay. Excuse me. And after that, I will also share actually a bunch of additional power-ups that you can use to make networking much, much easier and better for you. All right, pitfalls. The first one is fear of rejection. Okay. This is scary. You're thinking, okay, I'm going to be sending this person a message. Maybe they'll reply, maybe they won't. But if they do, then you just, oh God, they're going to make fun of me. They're going to scream at me. What do I do? That is a kind of mental conversation that is running in your head when it comes to rejection, because our brain is beautiful at magnifying all the dangers that we may face. As a result, we don't end up taking that first step. Okay. And that's a big, big problem. If you do find yourself in this situation, you need to realize, like, one, this is a fear. Okay. I'm not saying this fear is not valid. This fear is there in place for a very particular reason. It is an evolutionary benefit for us. But if you have this fear, start with low risk situations. Okay. Let's say you have a friend called Nanda. Right. And you know that Nanda has a friend, Saranya. Okay. And what you can do is you know that Nanda and Saranya are good friends. So it's a good chance that you and Saranya are going to be friends as well. So what you do is you reach out to Saranya because the stakes are very, very low. Even if you fail, even if you get rejected, it's not going to happen. It's not, I mean, the world's not going to end, right? The risk is very, very small. Your exposure, your downside is very, very small. So you want to start with that. Apart from that, there are a bunch of other techniques online that you can Google. But my favorite is something called rejection therapy. I'm just going to paste this here. I'm just going to type it out. Just Google for that. Okay. It's every day you practice getting rejected. Back in 2002, I had started engineering in BMS College of Bangalore. And it was extremely short, fat, shy kid, and I couldn't talk to anyone until I found that site and I did the challenges in there, and I blossomed into a very confident and happy young man. Apart from rejection therapy, I would also recommend that you try Toastmasters. Toastmasters is an interesting club. It is a public speaking and leadership organization when I was there, but it also gives you a safe environment for you to go ahead and meet new people. And when you are having these sort of safe environments where the risk is low, your fear of rejection is lower as well, especially in Toastmasters, because everybody there, when they're part of the club, are very warm, very welcoming, and they all have a common goal in mind, right? So it makes the whole thing much, much safer. The next fear or the next problem that comes with networking is that there's a long feedback loop. You send a message and then you're waiting. And like the second question that Rishikesh is asking, right? What if you connect with someone and your conversation doesn't go well and you screw up? That can happen. I'm not going to say no is no at all. Then again, it all comes back to the same thing, which is we need a safe space for us to practice. So go to people who already are giving you that safe, secure environment for you to go ahead and practice. But a long feedback loop, like when you send that request or you send that message and you don't know how people are going to react, that stuff really, really messes with your head, right? And that's one of the reasons why you might not end up doing networking. So what I'm trying to tell you is be prepared. You know that sometimes you send a connection request to someone and it'll probably take like days and days and days before somebody actually responds. And that's okay. If that is a problem for you, then go for other quicker mediums, right? Like let's say meeting new people at work. That's a safe place. You can definitely go ahead and say hello. You have something common. And that, is a great way for you to start building your network, just people at your workplace. And then go to other places where you have something in common with somebody else. Restaurants might be a little bit of a challenging, but let's say you go play badminton somewhere, or you go down to the ground to play cricket or football or basketball. These are all great reasons because you have something common. You can use that. And when you are meeting them in person, that feedback loop is very, very small. Ramesh, you don't have to prepare a speech every week, but you do get to practice speaking pretty much and leadership skills every week. The third reason that most people struggle with networking is, okay, you connect with someone, you had a conversation. What happens after that, right? And that's a big, big challenge because you say hello, but then you have nothing to talk to them about, right? So I'm not going to give you the answer. I want you to go ahead and type out your best recommendations. After you make that first connection with someone, how do you continue that conversation? How do you stay warm? How do you keep that connection warm? Okay? Okie dokie. Depends on what we need by staying in touch. Yes, Rahul, I'm asking for specific ways of how you can stay in touch. Inviting them for a meeting, formal or informal is a great way. Maybe getting to the key interests, wishing them on special days. I just want to highlight something over there. Wishing somebody on special days can be a good thing or a bad thing because everybody's going to be sending messages on, special days. My specific hack around this is I have my Google Calendar, and in that I put out reminders for myself. Like a recurring reminder. It's an all-day event that says, message Shiny today. And that probably happens once in 6 months. Or I have message Wilma that happens once in 8 months. So every time that happens, I remember, I should wish them. Yeah, so Ramesh, wishing people on important days like birthdays, yes, that's a very good thing. And one person who does this really well is my dad. Okay, he still has this beautiful little diary in which he has all those dates written, and then he's like sitting there in his lungi and bunny, and he's got his phone and he's like he's got his glasses down, he's looking at that, he's like ha 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 ha, he's calling people. I wish I could do stuff like that, but nowadays we have all these social networks and whatnot. So, but yes, the idea is definitely the same. Giving insights is good. Yeah. Mutual benefits, says Vidya. Yeah, that's there too. Knowing what's valuable and understanding. Yes, yes. And all of these are very, very important. But remember, when you are speaking with someone, okay, what ends up happening is that you get to know them better, right? You know a little bit. Like already from what I've spoken, you know that I'm a chemical engineer. If you've been paying attention, you know that I'm a chemical engineer. You know that I started my college in Bangalore. I went to BMS college. You know that I have an old dad who likes to speak to others on the telephone. I mentioned a bunch of different things in just this conversation, right? And you can use that as a starting point for conversation. You can also look at the things that you observe about me. You can see I have a ton of books. I have some weird masks on my background. I have different logos and whatnot. And each of those things are valuable conversation starters for you as well. Okay. And you can do the same thing to figure out. Now, I do want to share one important hack. Kunal says, have you heard about this new tech or something? Yes, yes, it's absolutely valid. Absolutely valid. Okay. And Kunal, thank you so much for bringing that up because I want to share my biggest hack. Okay. This is a very, very beautiful picture. I use a tool called Komodo Dex. I'm just going to type it out on chat. We're almost done, folks. Okay. Don't worry about it. Komodo Dex. And what it does is allows me to record a very short video as long as I want, but I record very, very short videos and I send this to people. Okay. I send this because I literally find something, I go through the Twitter profile or I go through the LinkedIn profile, and then I find something that's relevant. And I'll be like, for example, for Jason, okay? Jason Cohen writes a blog called A Smart Bear. All right. So I recently found out an article he's written. I really, really loved it. So I made this video and said, hey, Jason, I'm a big fan. I read this article and I thought it was super duper awesome. And then I ask a question. This question essentially asks for an opinion. It's an open-ended question. Okay. So I make this video, package this open-ended question, and then I send it to them. Okay. The trick to continuing a conversation is to have open-ended questions. You send that, boom. You have people watching your videos, you have them replying to it, and it's a natural, just a conversation that ends up happening. But the other reason is you see these videos, you're just seeing 6 over here. I have sent out over 500 videos in the past year. Okay. 500 videos. Why? Is simply for this one reason, to outwork my self-doubt. Remember all those fears that we had? Like, oh God, I'm going to get rejected, or oh, what's happening? They're not responding fast enough. I don't know what to keep talking to them about. These are all things that are messing up my head. And these are all things that were causing me doubt. To fix it, I outworked my self-doubt. I literally went ahead and sent like 500 plus videos. You don't need to send 500 plus videos. What you do need to do is keep on sending these connection requests, these networking things, invitations, until you no longer feel these things. In a video game, if you're going in some direction, there are enemies and monsters over there, that means you're going in the right direction. It means that you haven't, made a mistake. The same thing with networking. Keep going where you feel that resistance. And that's how you're actually going to level up. All right, to wrap things up, a few power-ups, okay? Master the follow-up. Why? Because when you send someone an invitation to network, they're not going to respond. It will take time, but you need to follow up again and again and again. I recommend following up 3 times before you give up on them, okay? Next, knowledge swap. And I had asked somebody at the very beginning of the session to say, hey, something about, what was that? Remind me later about, influencers and stuff like that. I forgot what I had said earlier, okay? But the question is, actually, I need to dig this out, otherwise I'll go crazy. Anyway, if you know who you are, please just go ahead and type it out. Now, a knowledge swap is a fantastic way, okay, to start building your network. Okay, let's say that you don't know who you have to connect with or something, and what you can do, and I'm totally doing this. Remember how I mentioned about my ADHD founders group? You can start off your own. You can give reason. You can give people a reason to connect with you, right? You can start off a community. You can start off an event. You can start off a meetup, right? You can say, hey, I am going to be starting off a meetup for people who are in Java and they're looking to get into gaming, right? That's what GP had mentioned something about, right? You can start a meetup like that. And then there'll be other people who are coming in, and then you start those conversations. You already have something in common, right? So that's one way. But let's say you want to connect with somebody else with whom you have nothing in common. Let's say you and I, we had to connect, and you're a developer and I'm a marketer. You could tell Arvindh, Maja, let's connect, and we can also do like a knowledge swap. I will teach you whatever you want to know about how AI tech is progressing. And you can teach me a little bit about marketing and networking. How about that, right? So that's a knowledge swap. You can do that one-on-one, or you can go ahead and do it as a group, right? Organizing a meetup. And if you can, I highly, highly, highly encourage you to start your own meetup, right? Next is to look at weak ties. And this is what, Ramesh, thank you for reminding me, connecting only with influencers can be dangerous, right? Because what ends up happening is if you're just looking at, the influencers and all the big names and famous names, that's good. Like, for example, Narayan Murthy, okay? You would love to connect with them, right? And then say that, oh, I've been there. But it's extremely unlikely that your professional goals can be met by meeting Narayan Murthy or networking with them. Instead, if you were to, let's say, network with the hiring manager of the company that you want to get into, much better odds of success, right? Why is that? Well, there might be someone who's a thought leader. There might be someone who's an influencer. There might be someone who's famous. I'm not saying don't connect with them, but then connect with everybody with intention, all right? The reason for that is if you're just going to be looking at those people, most of these high, influencers / thought leadership type of people, they're not going to have enough time to help you out. Whereas other people that's similar or slightly ahead of you in the networking game are the ones who are going to be helping out. And the best way to reach these people is to look at weak ties. That friend from school from let's say 20 years ago, they might be the AVP at a bank that you need to connect with. That person that you went to in your first job, they might now be running their own business, helping people move to Japan, right? And you can reach out to them. So the weak ties are the people who are not as close to you. They're not your curd rice yet, okay? They're still on your network, but you haven't actually connected with them. You have something in common, but you haven't activated that, right? Those are weak ties. Start focusing on that, okay? That's that's where the risk of failure is also very, very low. And just remember one thing, okay? Keep on looking for opportunities to help. In a way, we can, as my friend Rahul here said, we can kind of redefine what friends with benefits actually means, right? So you can totally try doing that, okay? Now, before we wrap up, I'm going to be giving you all a very, very specific task, okay? You've learned about what is the importance of networking? We talked about that. You learned about how to create your own pitch message. You got that. You learned about how do you actually start finding people to connect with. We got that. You learned how to grow your network. Okay. You learned all of that, and it's just been an hour. However, all of this is going to be to waste if you don't take action. Okay. So I want you to do this. I want you to go ahead and build out an introduction. Remember that pitch along with your inventory. I want you to build that out and send connections to 5 people. Okay. Now, if you want to do this, I'm going to offer myself as a sacrificial lamb. You can connect with me on LinkedIn or Twitter as well. Okay. I can be the first person, and I will critique your incoming pitch. Just tell me that you're coming from Hero Wired. All right. With that, I am officially done with whatever I had to share.